Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's me, Rosa Haynes, certified professional life coach and holistic transformation coach, and founder of the Revelation Consciousness Method, RCM. And what RCM is, it is actually a three-step methodology helping people overcome mental and emotional barriers. Eliminating destructive behavior patterns, cycles, those generational curses, soul ties, just helping you break free. Overcoming those setbacks. So, the Revelation Consciousness Method, which I will drop down in the link in the description box below, is something that a lot of people don't like to talk about because people don't are not comfortable being their authentic self. So many people live behind masks. I mean, I know I did it for many years, instead of just being who you are and living your truth. A lot of times people don't, and we don't, because we're afraid. We deal with fear of rejection. We deal with trying to meet society expectations. We deal with fear of judgment. We deal with so many levels of fear. And what that does for you, it actually stagnates you. It stagnates us to the place of bondage. Bondage. That's what it does. That's what it do. The Revelation Consciousness Method, which is my program, holistic transformation program, focusing on the mind, body, and spirit, actually helps you to identify those mental and emotional barriers. But it's way deeper than just overcoming, or fear is like a disease. And if you ever think about disease, it's dis-ease. It's dis-ease. So it's not, it's there's something that is preventing you from going to the next step. It's a disease. So just thinking about fear itself, it is a condition. And if you think about a condition, there's a root cause to the condition, there's an underlying issue. And a lot of times with fear, the fear of rejection, acceptance, judgment, and all of those things, it goes back. It goes back to childhood. It goes back to past experiences. It goes back to trauma. And what happens is it actually builds up. It builds up. It continues layers and layers and layers. And what ends up happening is that we create a self-defeating persona. We become our own defense mechanism. We start to fight ourselves. And then we end up wondering what the problem is. Sometimes it's us. So what I have in my hand is my book. One of them, this one is actually the Revelation, Overcoming a Condition Mindset. And I want to share something with you out of it, because that's what we're going to talk about tonight. The whole idea of my channel is to share information with you to help you overcome where you are and just move forward, eliminating those mental and emotional barriers. I've been there. I know what it's like to feel as though the world is moving and you're at a standstill. I really do. And I also know what it feels like to deal with fear. And I know what it feels like to deal with rejection. I know what it feels like to have people judge you. I know what it feels like whenever you always end up shrinking to meet other people's comfort levels. I know what it feels like to not know your worth. But I know what it feels like to overcome all of those things as well. And I know the work that I had to put in. We pray, we read, we try to educate ourselves. There's much more to it than that. There's cleansing that needs to be done. There's inner energy work that needs to be done. There's healing that needs to be done on the spiritual level, not just on the physical level. There's inner work that needs to be healed. A lot of us become very uncomfortable with talking about chakras and energy and laws of attraction. All of that metaphysics played a big part in my process. And those are some of the things that I share with you. Am I a Christian? Absolutely. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. But at the same time, there was some methodologies that actually helped me and that I share with other people to help with the inner healing, and those are some of the things that I had to deal with: fear of rejection, fear of judgment, because my walk and my journey look different than other people that are Christians and other people that may walk was walking the same path. I had to break free from that, from those conditions, in order for me to reach my higher consciousness and to fulfill my purpose. So I want to inspire you. Sometime in order to elevate, you have to eliminate, and you have to understand it is your life, it is your journey, it is your purpose, it is your work. So you may have to make some tough decisions in order to overcome that fear. Sometimes your very environments could be feeding your fear. And a lot of times it may be toxic and you don't even realize it because it's hindering you from what you're called to do. So I want to discuss with you, I'm going to read this from my book here. Let's discuss what conditions mean as it relates to the information we're going to talk about tonight. So condition and learned behavior is knowledge, processes, beliefs, and ways of life that are learned, accepted, and applied. These are learned behaviors passed on. This type of conditioning typically begins in childhood, long before we are intellectually capable of independently self-identifying. Basically, others can influence who we are and what is acceptable based on their levels of expectations. So this process can be detrimental and depends on various components. It could come from parenting, family history, living environments, and even available resources. I honestly believe there are vital elements of stability that can impact holistically, which are following conditions like mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and even financial capacity. Having a conditioned mindset and becoming a conditioned person can also be associated with past experiences, cultural backgrounds, religion, academics, and even challenges. Many of us basically are wandering amongst each other, feeling trapped due to a conditioned mindset or living solely based on external stimuli. How many of you actually trust yourself? I know for me, I would always need to validate my own thoughts or my own decisions. How many of you are walking around right now needing to maybe call your parents, maybe needing to talk to your wife or your husband, or always needing to validate yourself? Where do you think that comes from? Why is it that your thought and your idea is not good enough for you to do what you're going to do? Why do you need validation or question yourself? That all stems from somewhere. And that's what I focus on, helping people identify the mental and emotional barriers that's holding them back. You have a light in you. You have an inner light. You have purpose. But if you always need to validate yourself, or you're operating on a level of fear and conditions, then you're not going to be able to reach the heights that you need to reach, where your light needs to shine. You are built for greatness. You are more than enough. And where you are now is exactly where you're supposed to be. You probably have prayed and asked for miracles and blessings and different things in your life that have not manifested. Maybe because you are the one that is supposed to be the miracle. Maybe you didn't get the prayers or the blessings that you were asking for because you are meant to be that for other people. But negative forces out there, adversary spirits. Some call it the devil, some call it whatever they want to, but there's obviously something that's trying to keep you from moving forward. And that's where the stagnation is. That's where the fear is. That's where this disease is at. And that's what you have to overcome. And one thing that I do want you to do is take some time. And I'm reading this from my book here because in my book, I actually don't talk about me. I talk about how to overcome, giving the logical and the real practical steps. So one thing I want you to do is start focusing on your self-awareness, okay? Take some time to reflect on different situations and scenarios that ended up unfavorable for you, okay? And were your behavior reactional, or was it proactive? How did you respond? Was it reactive or proactive? And I want you to start taking notes of destructive patterns, okay? This exercise can be a little bit challenging, I can tell you that, and it will take some time because honestly, it is very hard to look in a broken mirror and you're wanting and desiring a different reflection. So first, that's something that I definitely want you to do, but on a different note here, I want to talk with you all about duality as well. Whenever you operate on a conditioned mindset and operating off of a level of fear, there's also self-sabotage that happens. And no one's doing this. We're doing it to ourselves. And with that type of behavior, it comes from us trying to be something we're not, basically, okay? And with duality, what duality is the merge of two things. We deal with our current self, but we also deal with our inner child. We also deal with our old self. We also deal with the person that we're trying to become better than. And that within itself is an issue, because your shadow, what I like to call it, because a shadow only come out in the dark, or the darker side of you, or what people call the negative side of you, or whatever, that's part of you. And you want to merge. You want to operate on duality. You want to be able, because if there wasn't dark, there wouldn't be light. If there's not light, there wouldn't be dark. You need to accept yourself for who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's part of that fear as well, because we're operating on a level of fear because we're afraid of something. What are we afraid of? Are we afraid to live our truth? Well, the truth shall set you free. Okay, but you have to merge those two. The shadow side of you, stop running from it. You got to learn how to balance it. You have to learn how to not allow that side to take full control. That is your reactional side. Your higher consciousness, your higher level is more of your proactive side. You really need to nurture that shadow. You need to let it become a part of who you are and stop trying to literally cut off half of who you are. Within itself is painful. If you're dealing with depression, or you're dealing with anxiety, or you're dealing with anything that is self-defeating, probably because you're trying to elevate from a part of you that is a part of you. That's like literally splitting you in half, instead of you loving that part of you, getting to know that part of you, and using that part of you to your advantage. For one, that darker side of you and that shadow is actually a survivor. You wouldn't be who you are today if it wasn't for that person. That inner child that's hurt, that's within you. That little girl or that little boy needs to be loved. If it wasn't for that little girl or that little boy, you wouldn't be here today. That little child actually endured more than what we are enduring today. So just think about it. We're talking about trauma and all these other experiences that have happened to us. Just think, that little inner child went through it, but yet we want to shut them off. We want to silence them. We want to actually eliminate the shadow side of us, the darker side of us, the side that's less favorable. instead of loving it and embracing it. That's all part of self-love. You're worth it. You got to love the whole you, the whole you, regardless of what people think, regardless of how people may feel. The only way to elevate your consciousness is first start to see you, the whole you. Whenever those self-defeating thoughts come up, suicidal thoughts or not good enough thoughts, that is your shadow. That is the darker side of you. That is the other side. Basically, that's you crying for attention. That's you. That's when you gotta take your higher self, your current self, and actually nurture that part of you. Don't try to eliminate it, isolate it. That's self-defeating within itself, because it's like a volcano. It's going to erupt. You're going to erupt. You don't want to. You're at a place in your life right now where you're desiring change. You're at a place in your life right now where you're desiring abundance, wealth, success, peace, freedom. Well, it starts with you. You're living in bondage right now because you're not letting a side of you manifest. You can't hide your shadow. You have to embrace it, nurture it, learn how to control it. Okay? So focus on duality, focus on self-awareness. And also, once you start to live your truth, what's going to happen is that fear is going to go away. The self-defeating behaviors are going to go away. The depression, anxiety, all of those thoughts are going to go away because you're not suppressing anything anymore. It's all part of the healing. So merging with your shadow, merging with that darker side of you, accepting you, loving you, trusting you, being you, not caring what people think, what people have to say. Your call is not their call. Your walk is not their walk. Okay? So be great. Be you. And I hope to see you again. All right, again, my name is Rosa Haynes, and I am the founder of the Revelation Consciousness Method, author of the Revelation Overcoming the Conditioned Mindset, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Have a good night.